Just don't chew your pantyhose. That is a crazy, crazy way to start the video. Everybody, we are looking at Lien Contextuals. And that's a bit of dialogue from Sally Swanepoel. We've got bits and pieces from Mimi. Ken jy 'n prokureur? Asks Mimi, so we are relatively earlier on in this book. Let us take a look at the questions. Remember, this blurb, this extract, is only to give you context as to where we are. So, Lien's father ended up in prison because he did what with the money? He stole it, so the answer is gesteel. So Lien and Bram, they ended up moving high schools. Which high school did they go to? It was Jacaranda Hoërskool of Hoërskool Jacaranda. So that's 4.1.2's answer. On Lien's first day at school, she met who? Wouter, who became her really good friend. So Wouter, just going to write the answers under each other. And they became good friends. When Lien had to start begging to earn what? Money. Or you could have said income, inkomste. She had to do it for the household that she lived in, and she also made friends outside of school. Okay, Roos and Tibby. So 4.2, explain the figurative meaning here of Sally's words, just don't chew your pantyhose. She's telling Lien to just chill out. So Sally bedoel dat Lien rustig moet raak. Just relax, chill, don't get your panties in a twist. 4.3, so Lien and Sally were in the same group. How did Sally's behavior towards Lien here differ from how she later behaved towards Lien? Refer to here and later in your answer. So in this moment, Sally ignored Lien. So here had Sally Lien eintlik ignoreer. But later, she decided to discuss her problems with Lien. After Lien's mom pulled up to the school very drunk and everyone saw it, made a mockery of her, but Sally understood, and in the bathroom, she said that, look, Lien, it's not our fault. Sometimes our parents make decisions, and my father, he smokes, and he smokes the heavier stuff. So she was able to empathize with Lien's current situation. In 4.4.1, choose the words in brackets. So thinking about everything Lien had to do in this novel, her thoughts above are what? So she's glad that she doesn't have to take the lead. This is very ironic because at home she had to take the lead. She became the breadwinner, but she doesn't want to take it in the play. So it's not sarcastic, it's ironic because how is it that you take the lead here but not there? 4.4.2, motivate your answer. Dit is ironies, want Lien is op soveel ander 'n leier. So she had to become a leader. She had to become the breadwinner. She had to make a bit of money. 4.5, choose the correct answer. So, Mimi se vraag in reël 8 het innerlike konflik. So, inner conflict in Lien, caused inner conflict in Lien because of B. She was afraid to tell the truth about her father. She was afraid that it could come out. So, it relates to Lien because Mimi doesn't want to really get into it about her father, because remember, her father he works a lot, and when he comes home, he plays in his office with those model aeroplanes, and Lien is scared. She doesn't want anyone to know what her father did. So it can't be a feeling that Sally isn't doing her part. It's deeper than that. It couldn't be because she was angry that she had to take part in the group task. And it couldn't be D because Mimi she could have asked her such a question. They're friends. 4.6, why did Mimi want to call her father's lawyer? Well, she wanted to have more information, meer inligting kry. Or she wanted to do her research. Because remember, they had to do this for their Allo project. Die procureurgroep, they were all in this group. So, hey, do you know any good lawyers? Can I ask them some questions so my project can be a bit better? Meneer Brewer gave Lien a task about their future profession. So Lien and everyone else. What was the result of this for Lien? So Lien now began to think about the future. So Lien het begin dink oor haar toekoms. Anything along those lines. 4.8, we've got a nice mix and match kind of question here. So feel free to pause the video, try this out on your own, and I'm going to write the answers for you guys. Give it a pause. So, hopefully you were right. So Bram did not help Lien with anything. Definitely going to be C. You have to, just jump on things, get it done by yourself. 2 is going to be D. Tiny Bets, Aunt Bets, she helped Lien without asking. It should be D. 1 should appreciate the help of others. Mimi had absent parents. This is going to be E. So definitely going to be E. We know Mimi comes from wealth. So 1 must realize that a lot of money does not mean that you're happy. And 4.8.4, to be looked at life positively. That is definitely going to be A. 1 must take the opportunities which comes your way and use it well. So even though he is a beggar, he's a bedelaar, he does utilize this opportunity, and he realizes that he is in Pretoria. It is a typically wealthier white Afrikaans area. And so he becomes a Blue Bulls fan because everyone else is. And that's how he makes his money, even though secretly he supports Mamelodi Sundowns. 4.9, will leave Sally alone. What would you have done differently if you were Mimi in this situation? So we could have just left Sally to her own devices. We could have reported her to a teacher. So Axo aan die onderwyser rapporteer. So anything along those lines would have scored you the mark. 4.10, in the novel, Lien gives the people around her all kinds of names because of what they look like. What bad example has Lien set? So that criticism is not good because we shouldn't criticize people based off of how they look. So Lien het krities na almal haar gelyk. Something along those lines would have scored you the mark. Or she just gives people names based off of how she feels, which isn't good. We should respect everyone. Look, I know this isn't a question that most of you like. Neither do I. I don't think it's a bad example. I think it's a bit funny, but, if we want to be good people, maybe we shouldn't call people like Mace Monkey and things like that. So if we take a good look at our next extract, text A. The morning does not want to pass. It's hot and she wishes for the hours. Every now and then she has a laugh and a honking from the entertainment corner, so now we know she is out on the streets. She looks around often, but she's too far away to hear what's happening. She sees Tibby waving the Blue Bulls flag, and he's just going about his merry life. So this is a little bit later on in the book. If I just skip to the end, you are a true friend. Ons het 'n bietjie Engels hier. So you are a true friend, Lien Joster, that's what Tibby calls her. A real blurry true friend. So this is after his entire accident. Lien, out of her own pocket, she pays for his wheelchair, gets Henk to do all the dirty work. Sorry, not Henk, Hein. And yeah, so this is where we are. Write down the following 4 events in the correct sequence. So feel free to pause the video now, give it a go yourself. The answers will be on screen immediately after. So the answers in order here. So first is going to be Lien saw a woman begging at Spa. Then Lien borrowed a wig and a pair of glasses. 3. Roos gave Lien good advice on how to beg. And then lastly, Lien went to buy her comfortable shoes. So in that order, it's chronological order. So 4.12, reading lines here 1 and 2. What space is in reference here? So whose corner? It's definitely going to be Tibby's corner. There's going to be some reference to it later, the entertainment corner. So 4.12.1. Here right now, this is Lien's corner. So dis die hoek waar Lien gestaan en bedel het. And then 4.12.2, this is going to be Tibby. So there's the reference to entertainment corner. So 4.12.1, it's Lien's hook, it's her corner right now, and there's reference to Tibby here. 4.13, hey Khan, hein. So we've got some repetition here, that's the style figure that we have. And 4.13.2, it's just in reference here. So look, he's going hein, he's going, like he's woken up again. He's had his reawakening. He's back to being Tibby. So she's very happy. So Lien says gelukkig oor Tibby. 4.14.1, choose the correct answer between brackets. So what was the general feeling here? So she soon hears a laugh and honking at entertainment corner. How are people reacting to Tibby? Well, blij. They're very happy that he's back. Motivate your answer. So he changed the atmosphere. Tibby het nog altyd atmosphere van vrolikheid geskep. So he created this atmosphere of cheerfulness, of joyousness. 4.15, Lien didn't want the people at school to know, as it was her and Tibby. She didn't want everyone to know that she was associated to Tibby. How do we know that this is false? We know it's false because Tibby, he came to the concert right at the end. So she had no shame. She was proud. So Lien het hulle na die skool se konsert toegenooi. 4.16, he suddenly turned around in his cards and looked at her. That's coming from line 15. Now, why can't we say that Tibby's card was the symbol of positivity in his life? So why can we say it rather? Because now he can finally make some money. He can finally work. So Tibby kon weer geld verdien of werk. 4.17, pause the video, try and get the answer. Now it's definitely going to be D. So one of the main themes in the novel that emerges most clearly in this extract is what? Is it going to be begging? No. Exploitation? No. Alcoholism? No. In this extract in particular, those are all possible themes in the novel, but this one is going to be support because Lien is supporting Tibby. 4.18, how does the author manage to show the reader that Tibby does everything he does with all of his heart? How does our author go about doing this? Well, our schrijver is always showing Tibby in a positive light, always making people laugh, he's always cheerful. So, die schrijver skets Tibby as a positieve character. 4.19.1. So in this novel, the title, content, and conclusion fit together very well. So if we look at the first question, just looking at the title, what do you think the novel is about? Well, it's definitely going to be about Lien. And maybe it's a book about her shoes. So you can give a very basic answer here. Maybe it's just about Lien and her shoes. Maybe it's about her magic shoes. Anything along those lines would have scored you the mark. 4.19.2. How do the lankstaanskoene, like how does that fit in? So it refers to a long day standing out in the streets, having to be the breadwinner. It's also about her discomfort. So Lien het vir haar gemaklike skoene gekoop om te bedel. So discomfort within comfort, like uncomfortable on the road, comfortable in the shoes. Anything along those lines, some level of contrast there would have been fine. And last question, 4.19.3. How do you know that this novel ended positively for Christine Jooste? Right at the end, she does play piano. And she was dressed neatly. So Christine Jooste was netjies aangetrek. So guys, that is the end of our Lien contextual. It's not too heavy. You just need to know who's who in the zoo, who's interconnected, and just hopefully your vocab will be good enough. So all the questions that you know, I would say straight after reading time, because you can't write during reading time. Make a little star, make a little asterisk, and then go ahead and answer those questions first. But yeah, you're almost there. Good luck for your last paper. Well, depending on when you're watching this video. Cool. Cheers, guys.